Hi everyone, this is Alex Taylor. I just wanted to walk you guys through the bidding and procurement process. First, just in general, and then secondly, more specific to what my district is going through right now and how it's impacting our building. Procurement means the process of obtaining goods and or services in accordance with applicable rules and regulations. Procurement rules ensure that program benefits are received by eligible schools and participants and that taxpayer dollars are used effectively and efficiently so there's no waste or abuse. Regulations require that all purchases may comply with federal, state, and local procurement requirements. I'm going to walk you through some of those for our school district. All procurement transactions must be conducted in a manner that provides maximum open and free competition. Procurement procedures must ensure that they do not foster non-competitive practices between companies or they do not create organizational conflicts of interest or eliminate competition. Procurement must not place unreasonable requirements on school districts or establish unrealistic funding requirements. And so there are formal standards of conduct that should govern the performance of officers, employees, agents when it comes to bidding contracts. These standards should provide a set of guidelines for potential contractors and then parties of sub-agreements. Competitive bidding is a form of solicitation that is used in the procurement of goods and services. So it's used by districts and then also companies and government agencies that require the delivery of products or services on a large scale basis. And this is, there's a detailed process of what that looks like regarding, district bidding and opening it up to vendors. So I'm going to walk you through that. Interested vendors send their bids for consideration within a specific period. The bids are sealed to increase the confidentiality of each vendor's proposal. After the bid submission period, the recipient of the bid then select the bidder with the lowest or best terms. That's on a general basis, and the selection can be done in an open or closed bidding process. The bidding process is aimed at increasing competitiveness of the bids and avoiding preferential treatment. Also with enabling the district to get the best offer. And so for a vendor to be selected to fulfill the supply of the product or service, they must demonstrate their capability, history, and readiness to execute the project. More specifically, according to School Code Article 10, there are some guidelines in terms of how much interaction the board can have in the bidding process. No school board member shall be interested directly or indirectly in his or her own name or in the name of any other person, association, trust, or corporation. Thereby, there is a guideline that says that the school board, there is a limit to what their involvement can be or what their own personal interest can be when it comes to the bidding process. There's also a rule in terms of a 7.5% interest that they have. So if it exceeds that, they're not allowed to bring up that name for bid. However, if it's lower than that, then it's probable, not necessarily, doable, but probable. All competitive bids for contracts involving an expenditure in excess of $25,000 or a lower amount as required by the board policy, in our case it's $25,000, must be sealed by the bidder and must be opened by a member or employee of the school board at a public bid opening at which the contents of the bid must be announced. Each bidder must receive at least 3 days notice of the time and place of the bid opening, and there must be at least one public notice which is 10 days before the bid date in a newspaper published in the district. The acceptance of bids are sealed by a bidder, and the opening of these bids are opened at a public bid opening and may be permitted by an electronic process for communicating, accepting, and opening bids. So specifically to Glenbard District 87, in terms of invitations to bids and proposals, we do post them on our district website, and vendors and suppliers are allowed to submit their bids. It is the responsibility of the bidder to be informed of any addendums which is noted on the proposal or bid proposal form. Any failure to do so would result in a rejection of that bidder proposal. All invitations to bid contain the following: the date, time, and place the bid proposal are to be opened. This is mandatory and in accordance with the guidelines. Bids received late are not accepted. General requirements and conditions are detailed instructions and explanations that are included in the bid document. And these are unique to what the needs are of the building, specifically within our district. There are some detailed specifications, and we will communicate those and identify those minimum requirements within the bid proposal. And then also there is a pre-bid proposal meeting. These meetings are a part of the process and could be mandatory. We made ours optional. This information is included in the bid proposal specifications. Now this time is an opportunity for bidders or proposals to um, meet with District 87 administration to discuss the bid and proposal specifications and ask all questions necessary prior to proposing their bid. All questions pertaining to the bid specifications must be presented in writing. And then for opening procedures, bids must be sealed by the bidder. All bids are opened promptly on the date and at the time stated in the bid specification. All interested vendors are invited to attend. Some bid openings are public, some are closed. Ours are open and public. Bids are read aloud, and then a tabulation is made. No changes are permitted once the bids are opened. So if a vendor made a mistake, they have two choices. They either honor their bid as written or they withdraw their bid on the item, and it results in a forfeiture of the bid. Something that is unique is that with the bids in our district, we know that in order for bidders, when they're coming into the bidding process, we are required to accept the lowest responsible bidder, and that is part of our board policy, and that kind of puts us at a bind. And so I kind of want to walk you through what's going on in our district and how it's impacting our buildings. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so give me one moment. I don't know if it's going to allow me to. Give me 1 second. Sorry. It might not allow me to share my screen right now. I'm on my husband's computer, so I don't know what his capability is. But I can just walk you through the timeline that I wanted to share. We are currently in the open bidding process for campus monitoring services, formerly known as campus security. And so our school district hires Andy Frame Services. They're a third-party contractor to provide all of our building security needs. So they cover the doors, the hallways, any events, athletic games, night, activities that we have. They're always utilized to provide building coverage. At this point, Andy Frame has, we've been contracted with them for several years. We are in an open bid, and we've been very dissatisfied with their services. Many times we have campus personnel who don't show up. We have minimum staffing. I would say our at best 50% staffing at a given time. A lot of call offs or no shows. And in terms of reliability and consistency, it just hasn't been there. Now, technically, they've been the company that we've been having to go with because they are the lowest responsible bidder. And now that we're going into the open bidding process, we are choosing to rename our bid to Campus Service Monitoring. And so we're hoping that the word security, with that taken out, kind of opens up other contractors to come in. And it's a kind of an open invitation for them. And also, we are also hoping that we will be able to document and show ways that Andy Frame has not been or proven themselves to be responsible. So that key term, lowest responsible bidder, even though they're typically the bid that it offers the lowest price for the district, we will have to prove at a board meeting if they do become the lowest bidder that they are not responsible enough to carry out our services for the upcoming contract. So um, right now, our timeline is February 1st, we did a final draft of our bid document with our APSS team and district office. February 3rd, we received feedback and finalized that document. February 5th, we put a bid notice in the Daily Herald and also made it available on our district website. February 11th, we did our optional pre-bid meeting, and then February 18th, we hosted tours for other campus monitoring services to come into our buildings and check out our campuses. On Thursday, February 25th, we have our sealed bids due and opened, and the bid opening will be held via Google Meet. On Tuesday, March 2nd, our bid results and recommendations discussed will be they'll be discussed at a cabinet meeting. And then Monday, March 8th, our bid results and recommendations will be discussed at a finance committee meeting and board of education meeting as well. And so on Monday, March 22nd, our bid approval process will be finalized and requested at our final board of education meeting. And so that's kind of where we're at. Now, our current Andy Frame services have gotten word that we are in open bid. So they are a little, they are savvy that in 6 months we might be going with a different company altogether. And then that has impacted our buildings. Personally, my lead, who is already frustrated with Andy Frame as an organization, my campus safety lead was recently terminated just because he had an emotional outburst on campus in front of staff, in front of students, in terms of this open bid process, and then in terms of retaliation, went to parents and community and said that our buildings are not safe, that we're understaffed, that we don't have, our minimums met, which in part is accurate, but it's not totally accurate because we do have campus subs who fill our hallway coverage. So our building has never been compromised, but they're definitely, spreading some false information because of backlash. So even though this is a transactional operation that's, heavily sided with, companies and agencies and district office, it does have a building presence and impact. And in our case, it's very unfortunate that they're going to social media and parents. But I can say that it's become, excuse me, an emotional process for part of our staff in terms of security staffing. So, and it's unfortunate because the other handful, they're very good and solid, and the ones that we do have, I'd like to keep in some way or shape or form. But again, all of this is impacted through this bidding process. So, just wanted to share with you guys what's happening with me. Feel free to email me any questions. I know I'm not live, but if you do have questions, email me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye-bye.